Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel if you are new. Hello, my name is V. I post nail tutorials every Thursday and Sunday at 8:15 a.m. Central Time. Getting right into today's video, I am starting off by using my pre-prepped practice hand. For today's video, I'm actually using the Not Polish C-curve tips. These are actually the coffin ones. They are full sculpted and the perfect coffin shape in my opinion. For today's video, I'm also using the acrylic brush from Not Polish in a size 12, along with their acrylic monomer or liquid, as some of you prefer to call it. I'm going ahead and starting off my acrylic application by applying their acrylic in the color black. Very, very easy to work with. I feel like black acrylics can really be tricky, but the black is not the exception when it comes to their buttery products. So definitely recommend if you want a black acrylic that is very easy to work with. I'm gonna go ahead and apply that on the pinky, index finger, and the ring finger. And I'm just very carefully applying that near the cuticle area. I like to start off in the middle with a medium-sized bead of acrylic, and then I start gently patting it down, dragging it very, very gently to the place that I want it to go, and then I start blending it down towards the tip. Now I am working my way up towards the cuticle area, placing another bead right above the first, and then just gently blending that out. And as you can see, it's very, very easy to work with. Now, a quick little tip with working with very pigmented and specifically dark colored acrylic is you want to continuously wipe your brush on a napkin. I've gotten tons of questions on how to avoid your monomer getting really dirty, and honestly speaking, that is the best way that I have found that does not contaminate your monomer as much. So you want to make sure you apply your bead, you start working with it, and continue to wipe on your napkin. That's going to remove all of the pigment from that powder, and so when you go back into your dap and dish with your monomer, it's not dirty at all whatsoever. So just a quick little tip for you guys. Now for the middle finger, we are using Wine and Dine from Not Polish as well. It is a very deep red, almost burgundy or maroon color, and I love it. This is one of my favorite dark reds to use, and I am going to be, again, working my way from the middle down to the tip, and then working back from the middle up to the cuticle area. Very, very gently blending that down and working with the product with very light pressure, just using very light tapping motions to move it where I want to. Once I'm content, I go ahead and blend that out with the product that is already on the nail. Always remember to hold your finger in a downward position, specifically when working in the cuticle area. This will avoid flooding in that area and prevent lifting altogether. So make sure you are doing this very, very carefully. And I also suggest this when using really dark pigmented colors because you can stain the skin, and we definitely do not want that. I'm going to be encapsulating these nails very, very quickly, just using clear acrylic from Not Polish. I am going in with a very thin layer. I have found that whenever I file directly on really dark colored acrylics, you can really, really see scratch marks. So I like to put a thin layer of clear And that way, not only does it give you the extra thickness that you want, but it also gives a different finish versus just filing on to that powder. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly do that on the rest of the nails. Now getting into our filing process, for today's video I am using the Kiara Sky Rechargeable e-file. This one is the unicorn one, and I have her at a speed of about 9 to 10,000 RPMs. Along with that, I'm using their 5-in-1 bit as well. This one is in the color Rose Gold Medium Grit. I'm going in, working in the cuticle area very, very gently, and then I go in vertically up and down and file the length of the nail. Very light pressure, as I do not want to debulk the product. I just want to smooth it out very gently and make sure that there are no huge ridges, dips, or anything like that. Now, I did want to quickly mention, for any of those that are new to my channel, I have a beginner basics playlist on my channel that includes in-depth videos on how to e-file, liquid to powder ratio, acrylic application, and all of that good stuff that you might need as a beginner nail tech. So make sure you guys check that out along with all my other playlists. Now, taking my hand file, I'm going in and filing the sides very gently. I want to make sure that that shape is nice and crisp, so make sure you do not skip this step. I'm going to go ahead and alternate from the left to the right, right to the left. I want to make sure that I'm not over filing one side or the other. Now we are flipping the hand around to look at the nails from the client's perspective, and then we're going to square off these tips. It is important that you look at the nails from every single angle. A lot of the time you will miss certain things, and you want to make sure you try to get them as neat and perfect as possible. Now, taking my sponge buffer from Profiles Backstage, I'm going to quickly buff these nails. I want to make sure that I have the perfect canvas to create nail art on. And the perfect canvas is definitely a very smooth nail, so I am going to be fully buffing these nails, making sure everything is nice and smooth. Now I'm quickly taking a lint-free wipe and some Young Nail Swipe and cleaning the surface of the nail and my practice hand. I want to make sure everything is nice and dust-free and prep for our nail art. Now, as you have noticed from the thumbnail and possibly the title of my video, you will note that I am going to be recreating a set that I did about 5 years ago when I first started doing nails. This was the first set of nails that I did with what I would call intricate nail art. It was way out of my comfort zone. My client chose every single aspect of it. I had so much fun doing it. I remember I was so nervous, but I was so happy with the outcome. So I thought it would be a pretty fun, cool idea to recreate this now 5 years later. Now that I have a little bit more experience and I'm a lot more comfortable with doing designs like this. So we're starting off with the nail that has the roses. In the original photo, I did 2 small, pretty simple roses. They were 2-tone, so I'm sticking with the 2-tone rose petals. However, I'm going to be kind of changing up the design just a little bit to spice it up. We are going to be creating those rose petals very quickly on that nail. To do so, I am taking my 3D nail art brush from Amazon. You can find it in my Amazon storefront, and I am dipping it into my white powder, and then immediately after dipping it into Wine and Dine, the color that I used on the middle finger. This is going to help create that 2-tone petal without having to do any shading or any aftermath painting. So I'm just quickly shaping out that petal, and I'm basically taking the bulk of my brush, pressing it down firmly and moving that powder where I want it to go. And this is going to easily create that petal shape, and the drier your brush, the more bristle impressions it's going to leave in that petal, which gives it a little bit more of a realistic feel to it. So I like definitely including that in the petals. I'm gonna go ahead and place another one. Again, I put my brush into the white and then quickly into the red. And then, like I mentioned earlier, taking the bulk of my brush and really just pressing it out. I want the inside of the petal to be a lot thinner than the outside, so that's going to create it very effortlessly. Now I'm kind of showing you how I pick up the beads just in case you guys are struggling with that, but it's very, very simple. And then again, quickly just pressing it down, making the inside of the petal a lot thinner. This helps with the layering as well. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys watch the rest of this, but it's going to be very, very repetitive. So for the center of the rose, I'm doing the same concept, dipped in white, then in red, and then I'm making sure that my brush is nice and pointy, and I'm going to be taking that point of the brush and doing kind of a swirled motion around that bead of acrylic, and then you can see it kind of forms that center that you see in a rose. And then we're going to be adding another one off to the side. So I did want to talk a little bit about roses. They were the first kind of intricate nail art that I really tried and got into. And I kid you not, I feel like I did roses on every single client because they just were so excited to see them get done. So I'm here to tell you, start off with something, perfect it, and then go on to the next thing. Petals are one of my favorite things to do because they're just so simple and so easy, and I feel like it looks super, super cute. So once you start getting into 3D nail art and anything like that, you will learn what works and what doesn't work. So as long as you guys are practicing, you should be good in no time. I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this rose, and then we're gonna be moving on to the next nail. Now for the middle finger, we are going to be doing a spider, and I wanted to do kind of like a Black Widow inspo little spider. So I'm setting down some crystals to see which ones I like better for it before I actually place it on the nail. I want to be prepared. So I ended up going with the second option, and I'm going to start off with black acrylic. Again, with my 3D nail art brush, I am placing that on the nail, kind of forming like a backwards teardrop. And this is going to be the black portion, of course, of the spider, but it's also going to hold our big gem in place. So I'm just taking that crystal. These are from Not Polish. And I am pressing it into that bead of wet acrylic. It is important that it is still wet, otherwise you will have to glue it on there. So I'm just really firmly pressing that in, and the crystal tool that I'm using is from Not Polish as well. It's from their crystal kit in red. And then I'm just kind of cleaning up some of the sides so that it's nice and crisp. I don't want any powder to be leaking everywhere. And then we're going to be doing the head portion as well. A small bead of that black acrylic. Basically a nice little circle up top. And then again taking a crystal. But this time I decided to use black. So I'm going to be pressing that same concept as the body. Now for the index finger, we are going to be doing lips with fangs and a little bit of blood drips. So for that, I'm taking the red and black liners from Not Polish, and I'm going to be mixing just a little dab of black into it. And we are going to be using that for our lips. So when I'm using specific colors in a set, I try to match all the colors as best as possible. So I'm using that just to darken it up a little bit, and so it doesn't clash a crazy amount with the maroon that we used on the middle finger. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it and adding the top lip. For this portion, I am using the nail art brushes from Makartt. They are linked in my Amazon storefront. They are my absolute favorite, and I swear by these brushes. I'm just going to go ahead and finish that top lip, and then we're going to be doing the bottom one as well. You can do the lips however you please, however you want, the size that you want. I guarantee the outcome will still look amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and finish drawing that out. We're going to be adding some drips off to the left side. Very, very simple drips. The same color, using it still wet, and then we're going to be curing that in the light. You want to make sure you cure before you go in with a different color so that they do not mix together. Now, as soon as I took this out of the light, I realized I smacked it against my light. So to fix that little mishap, I'm just taking some of that red again and infilling the area that kind of got wiped off. And then the portion that has a little bit smeared, I'm just going to leave it like that. So we cured it in the light, and there's a little bit on the black section, but I'm not worried about it because I'm just going right over it with the white, and it's going to cover it perfectly fine. So I'm taking the white liner from Not Polish, and I am starting off with the fangs, and then we're going to be going in with the 4 little teeth that go in between. And so for those 4 little teeth, I started off drawing each individual one, and then realized I could make my life so much easier and just draw one sort of like a rectangled shape. And then I can go back in with the black and really individually kind of cut them out. So that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm making my life easier, and you guys should too. Now again, making sure we cure this in the light. I like to leave it in there for a full minute or while I'm working on obviously my client's other hand. So now I'm taking black again and just very carefully doing one line down the center and then doing two off to the side. And that's going to be our 4 little teeth right in the middle. Now I forgot to insert the little shine or glare lines on the lips, so I'm doing just that with a little bit of white and very, very carefully around the lips. And then we're gonna be curing that in the light once again. Now I'm taking some red paint and just kind of dabbing it onto the fangs just to give the illusion that there's blood on it. And then I feel like I covered them way too much, so I'm taking a lint-free wipe and some swipe and just quickly kind of dabbing it on there to show a little bit more of that white. I'm going in with the final details before we top coat, and then I'm going to be adding some more nail art over top. So I'm taking the liner from Not Polished in the color black, and straight out of the bottle I'm using that brush to create the legs. Very, very simple. I do one tiny line going outwards and then a longer line to create that leg, and we're going to be doing the bottom ones on the other side. Again, same simple concept, super easy and effective little legs. And of course I went ahead and cured that in the light. Now we're going in with our top coat. This is Matte from Not Polished. I'm going to be fully top coating the nails as if I were to be finished, but we're going to be adding, again, like I said, some nail art over top. So I'm going to be adding that on the pinky, and then very carefully around those roses I'm also adding that top coat, and then of course on the rest of the nails. Very thin layers, trying to get a nice even coat. And then we're going to be popping that in the light for a full minute. Once we're out of the light and everything is nice and matte, we are going to be adding some shiny blood drips to the nails. Now, because I wanted to make it a little bit different than the original set, we are adding some onto the roses, which I feel like ended up turning out super, super cute. To do so, I am using the jelly polish from Profiles Backstage. They have tons of jelly polishes, which to me personally are my favorite that I've ever used and seen. So make sure you guys check those out. They have so many colors, perfect for any occasion. Now I'm just taking my liner nail art brush and I am adding some very carefully, kind of randomly on the nail, making it seem like it's coming out of the rose and from underneath it. And then I'm adding some on the bottom one as well. And of course, trying to recreate that original set, we are going to be doing blood drips coming up from the bottom, which doesn't make sense, don't ask, but we are recreating it, okay? I would definitely change it from coming out through the cuticle, but it's fine. It still ended up looking pretty cool. And I really wanted to bring out that shine into that matte nail as well. So I feel like it all turned out pretty good. And we are adding some to the lips. I thought it looked a little bit too bland. So we are actually going to be leaving the lips one color and then using that jelly polish to really bring out the blood effect. And so that it doesn't really blend in with the lips at all. So I'm going to be adding that, and then I'm putting some slightly coming out of the mouth as well. And then we're going to be curing that in the light. I am not top coating anymore, just removing that tacky layer. And that basically concludes today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.